Summoner's prologue to his tale. High in his stirrups then the summoner stood, against the friar his heart as madman's would, shook like a very aspen leaf for ire. Master, said he, but one thing I desire. I beg of you that, of your courtesy, since you have heard this treacherous friar lie, you suffer it that I my tale may tell. This friar he boasts he knows somewhat of hell, and God he knows that it is little wonder. Friars and fiends are never far asunder. For by gad, you have oftentimes heard tell how such a friar was snatched down into hell, in spirit once and by a vision blown, and as an angel led him up and down, to show the pains and torments that there were. In all the place he saw no friar there. Of other folk he saw enough in woe, and to the angel then he questioned so. Now, sir, said he, have friars such a grace, that none of them shall come into this place? Nay, said the angel, millions here are thrown, and unto Sathanas he led him down. And now has Sathanas, said he, a tale broader than of a galleon is the sail. Hold up thy sail, thou Sathanas, said he. Show forth thine arse, and let the friars see where is the nest of friars in this place. And ere one might go half a furlong space, just as the bees come swarming from a hive, out of the devil's arsehole there did drive full 20,000 friars in a rout, and through all hell they swarmed and ran about, and came again as fast as they could run, and in his arse they crept back every one. He clapped his tail too, and then lay right still, this friar, when he looked at length his fill upon the torments of that sorry place. His spirit got restored, and of his high grace into his body, and he did awake. Nevertheless, for terror did he quake. So was the devil's arsehole in his mind, which in his future home and like in kind. God save all but this cursed friar here. My prologue ends thus. To my tale give ear. Here begins the summoner's tale. Masters, there is in Yorkshire, as I guess, a marshy region that's called Holderness, wherein there went a limiter about, to preach and to beg too, beyond a doubt. And so befell that on a day this friar had preached in church in his own manner dire, and specially and above everything, incited he the people by preaching to trentals and to give, for God's own sake, the means wherewith men might new churches make, that there the services of God might flower, and not to them who waste and wealth devour, nor where there is no necessity to give, as to the monks who easily may live. Thanks be to God, and need no wealth to gain. Trentals, said he, deliver from their pain the souls of friends who are dead, the old and young, yea, even when they have been hastily sung. Not that I hold as frivolous and gay a priest who only sings one mass a day. Act quickly now, said he, their souls redeem, for hard it is, with spikes and hooks I deem, to be so torn aye as to burn or bake. Now speed you all to this, for Christ's own sake. And when this friar had said all that he meant, with qui cum patre on his way he went. When folk in church had given at his behest, he went his way, no longer would he rest. With scrip and ferruled staff and skirts tucked high, in every house he went to peer and pry, and beg for flour and cheese, or else for corn. His fellow had a staff was tipped with horn, a set of tablets all of ivory, and stylus that was polished elegantly, and wrote the names down always as he stood, of those that gave him anything of good, as if for them he later meant to pray. Give us of wheat or malt or rye, he'd say, a bushel or a God's cake or some cheese. We may not choose, so give us what you please. Give us God's halfpenny or a mass penny, or give us of your brawn if you have any. A small piece of your blanket, my dear dame, our sister dear low, here I write your name. Bacon or beef or such thing as you find. A sturdy menial went these two behind, the servant of their host, and bore a sack, and what men gave them laid it on his back. And when they left the house, why, then anon, he planned away the names of folk each one, that he before had written on his tables, and thus he served them mockeries and fables. Nay, there you lie, you summoner, cried the friar. Peace, for Christ's mother's sake, call no one liar. Our host said, tell your tale, nor spare at all. So thrive I, said the summoner, that I shall. Along he went from house to house, till he came to a house where he was wont to be, refreshed more than 100 paces round. And sick the good man of the place he found. Bedridden on a couch he prostrate lay. Deuce Hick, said he, Thomas, my friend, good day. Said he, this friar, courteously and soft. Thomas, said he, may God repay you oft. Have I sat on this bench and fared right well? Here have I eaten many a merry meal. And from the bench he drove away the cat, and laid down there his steel-tipped staff and hat, and his scrip too, and sat him softly down. His fellow had gone walking into town, with the said menial, to a hostelry, wherein he thought that very night to lie. "Oh, my dear master," whispered this sick man, "how have you fared since this month March began? I've seen you not this fortnight, aye, or more. God knows," said he, "that I have toiled full sore, and very specially for your salvation have I said precious prayers, and at each station. And for our other friends, whom may God bless, I have today been to your church at mass, and preached a sermon after my poor wit, not wholly from the text of Holy Writ, for that is hard and baffling in the main, and therefore all its meaning I'll explain, glossing a glorious thing, and that's certain, for letters kill, as scholars say with pain. Thus how I taught them to be charitable, and spend their money reasonably as well. And there I saw your dame. Ah, where is she? Yonder within the yard I think she'll be, said this sick man, and she will come anon. Eh, master, welcome be you, by St. John, exclaimed the wife. How fare you heartily? The friar arose, and that full courteously, and her embraced within his 2 arms narrow, and kissed her sweetly, chirping like a sparrow, with his 2 lips. Ah, dame, said he, right well, as one that is your servant, let me tell. Thanks be to God who gave you soul and life. For saw I not this day so fair a wife, in all the congregation, God save me. Yea, God correct all faults, sir, answered she. But are you always welcome by my fay? Many thanks, dame, this have I found alway. But of your innate goodness, by your leave, I beg of you, you won't be cross or grieve, if I with Thomas speak a little now. These curates are right negligent and slow, in searching tenderly into conscience. To preach confession is my diligence, and I do study Peter's word and Paul's. I walk and fish for Christian persons' souls, to yield to Jesus Christ his increment, to spread his gospel is my whole intent. Now by your leave, O my dear sir, said she, berate him well for Holy Trinity, as he is as crabbed as an old pismire, though he has everything he can desire. Though him I cover at night and make him warm, and lay my leg across him or my arm, he grunts and groans like our old boar and sty, and other sport just none from him have I. I cannot please him, no, in any case. O Thomas, je vous dis, Thomas, Thomas, this is the fiend's work, this must be amended. Anger is a thing that makes high God offended, and thereof will I speak a word or two. Now, master, said the wife, before I go, what will you eat? I will about it scoot. Now, dame, said he then, je vous dis, sans doute, had I of a fat capon but the liver, and of your soft white bread naught but a sliver, and after that a pig's head well roasted, save that I would no beast for me were dead, then had I with you plain sufficiency. I am a man of little gluttony. My spirit has its nourishment in the Bible. My body is so inured and so pliable to watching that my appetite's destroyed. I pray you, lady, be you not annoyed, though I so intimately my secret show. By God, I would reveal it to but few. Now, sir, said she, but one word ere I go. My child has died within this fortnight, soon after you left town last, it did die. His death saw I by revelation I, replied this friar, at home in dormitory, less than an hour, I dare say, ere to glory. After his death I saw him born in bliss, in vision mine, may God me guide in this. So did our sexton and infirmarian, who have been true friars 50 years each man, and may now, God be thanked for mercy shown, observe their jubilee and walk alone. And I rose up and did my brother seek, with many a tear down trickling on my cheek, and without noise or clashing of the bells. Te Deum was our song and nothing else, save that to Christ I said an orison, and thanked him for the vision he had shown. For, sir and dame, trust me full well in all, our orisons are more effectual, and more we see of Christ's own secret things than folk of the laity, though they were kings. We live in poverty and abstinence, and laymen live in riches and expense, of meat and drink, and in their gross delight. This world's desires we hold in great despite. Dives and Lazarus lived differently, and different recompense they had thereby. Whoso would pray, he must fast and be clean, fatten his soul and keep his body lean. We fare, as says the apostle, clothes and food suffice us, though they be not over good. The cleanness and the fasting of us friars result in Christ accepting all our prayers. Lo, Moses 40 days and 40 nights fasted before the mightiest God of mights, spoke with him on the mountain of Sinai, with empty belly, fasting long, say I. Received he there the law that had been writ by God's hand, and Elias, you know of it, on Mount Horeb, ere he had any speech with the high God who is in our spirits leech. He fasted long and deep in his contemplation. Aaron, who ruled the temple of his nation, and all the other great priests, every one, when they into the temple would be gone, to pray there for the folk and do their rites, they would not drink of that which man excites, and makes him drunk or stirs in any way, but there is abstinence, they'd watch and pray, lest they should die. To what I say take heed. Were they not sober when they prayed indeed? Beware my words, no more, for it suffices our Lord Christ as the Holy Writ apprises. Give us example of fasting and of prayers. Therefore we mendicants, as we simple friars, are sworn to poverty and continence, to charity, meekness, and abstinence, to persecution for our righteousness, to weeping, pity, and to cleanliness. And therefore may you see that all our prayers, I speak of us, we mendicants, we friars, and to the high God far more acceptable than yours with all the feasts you make at table. From paradise, if I am not to lie, was man chased out because of gluttony, and chased was man in paradise, that's plain. But hear now, Thomas, lest I speak in vain. I have no text for it, I must admit, but by analogy the words will fit. Especially our sweet Lord Christ Jesus spoke of the begging friars when he said thus, Blessed are the poor in spirit, so said he. And so through all the gospel may you see, whether the word fit better our profession, or theirs, the monks, who swim in rich possession. Fie on their pomp, and on their gluttony, and for their lewdness do I them defy. It seems to me they're like Jovinian, fat as a whale, and waddling as a swan, as full of wine as bottle in the spence. Their prayers are always of great reverence, when they for souls that psalm of David say, Cor mum eructavit, boof that way. Who follow Christ's word going on before, but we who are so humble, chaste, and poor, and doers of God's words, not hearers merely, as falcons rise to heaven just so clearly. Spring up into the air the holy prayers of charitable and chaste and toiling friars, make their way upward into God's ears too. Thomas, O Thomas, as I ride or go, and by that Lord whom all we call Saint Eve, were you not brother to us, you not thrive, in our chapter we pray both day and night, to Christ that he will send you health and might, to move about again and speedily. God knows, said he, nothing thereof feel I, so help me Christ as I, these last few years, have spent on divers friars, it appears, full many a pound, and I'm no better yet. Truly, my wealth have I almost upset. Farewell, my gold, for it has slipped away. The friar replied, Ah, Thomas, so you say, but why need you to different friars reach? Why should he need who has a perfect leech, to call another leeches from the town? Your trouble from your fickleness has grown. Think you that I, or at least our convent, could not suffice to pray? That's what I meant. Thomas, your feeble joke's not worth a tittle. Your illness lasts because you've given too little. Ah, give that convent bushels 4 of oats. Ah, give that convent 24 groats. Ah, give that friar a penny and let him go. Nay, nay, Thomas, the thing should not be so. What is a farthing worth, when split 12 ways, a thing in its integrity displays? Far greater strength than does a unit scattered. Thomas, by me you shall not here be flattered. You would you had our labor for all for naught. But the high God, who all this world has wrought, says that the workman's worthy of his hire. Thomas, not of your treasure I desire. As for myself, but that all our convent to pray for you is always diligent, and also to build up Christ's holy kirk. Thomas, if you will learn the way to work. Of building up churches you may find, if it be good in Thomas' life of Ind. You lie here full of anger and of ire, wherewith the devil set your heart afire. And you chide here this hapless innocent, your wife who is so meek and so patient. And therefore, Thomas, trust me if you please, scold not your wife who tries to give you ease, and bear this word away now, by your faith touching this thing. Lo, what the wise man saith, within thy house do not the lion play, oppress thy subjects in no kind of way, nor cause thine equals and thy friends to flee. And Thomas, yet again I charge you be wary of her that in your bosom sleeps, beware the serpent that so slyly creeps under the grass and stings so treacherously. Beware, my son, and hear this patiently, that 20,000 men have lost their lives for quarreling with their sweet ones and their wives. Now, since you have so holy and meek a wife, why need you, Thomas, so to stir up strife? There is indeed no serpent so cruel when man treads on his tail, nor half so fell as woman is when she is filled with ire. Vengeance is then the whole of her desire. Anger is a sin, one of the deadly seven, abominable unto the God of heaven, and it is sure destruction unto one. This every vulgar vicar or parson can say how anger leads to homicide. Truth angers the executant of pride. I could of anger tell you so much sorrow. My tale should last until it were tomorrow, and therefore I pray God both day and night. An ireful man, God send him little might. It is great harm and truly great pity to set an ireful man in high degree. For once there was an ireful potentate, as Seneca says, and while he ruled the state, upon a day out riding went knights two, and as Dame Fortune willed it, it was so that one of them came home and one did not. Anon that night before the judge was brought, who said thus, Sir, you have your fellow slain, for which I doom you to the death amain. And to another knight commanded he, Go lead him to his death, so I charge ye. It happened, as they went along their way, toward the place where he must die that day, they met the knight that men had thought was dead. Then thought they it were best not to go ahead, and so led both unto the judge again. They said, O Lord, this knight, he has not slain his fellow, for he stands here sound alive. You shall die then, he cried, so may I thrive. That is to say, you shall all die, all three. And then to the first knight was thus said he, I doomed you, and therefore you must be dead, and you also must needs now lose your head, since you're the causing of your fellow's end. And then on the third night did he descend. You have not done what I ordained should be, and thus he did away with all the three. Ireful Cambyses was a drunkard too, and much delighted dirty deeds to do. And so befell a lord of his household, who moved all moral virtue, we are told, said on a day when they were talking thus, A lord is lost if he be too vicious. And drunkenness is foul thing to record of any man, especially of a lord. There is full many an eye and many an ear, waiting upon a lord, nor knows he where. For God's dear love, sir, drink more moderately. Wine causes man to lose and wretchedly his mind, his limbs, usage every one. The opposite you'll see, said he anon, and you'll prove by your own experience that wine does not to men such foul offence. There is no wine can rob me of my might, of hand or foot, nor yet of my eyesight. And for despite he drank much wine the more, 100 times than he had drunk before. And then anon this ireful wicked wretch sent one this knight's young son to go and fetch, in order that before him he should stand. And suddenly he took his bow in hand, and drew the string thereof up to his ear, and with an arrow slew the child right there. Now tell me whether I've sure hand or none, he said, and are my might and mind all gone? Has wine deprived me of my good eyesight? How shall I tell the answer of the knight? His son was slain, there is no more to say. Beware therefore with lords, look how you play. But sing placebo, and I shall if I can, unless it be unto a helpless man. To a poor man, men should his vices tell, but to a lord no, though he go to hell. Lo, ireful Cyrus, that great Persian king, destroyed the river Ganges at its spring, because a horse of his was drowned therein, when he went forth old Babylon to win. He caused the river to become so small that women would go wading through it all. Lo, what said he whose teaching all command? An angry man take never for a friend, nor with a madman walk along the way. Lest you repent, there is no more to say. Now, Thomas, my dear brother, leave your ire. You shall find me as just as is a squire. Hold not the devil's knife against your heart. Your anger does too sorely burn and smart. But show me all now in confession, son. Nay, said the sick man, by Saint Simeon, I have been shriven today by my curate. I have him told the whole truth of my state. There is no more need to speak of it, said he, save as I please of my humility. Then give me of your gold to build our cloister, said he, for many a mussel and an oyster. When other men have been well at their ease, have been our food, that building should not cease. And yet God knows is finished nothing more than the foundation while of all the floor. There is not a tile yet laid to call our own. By God we owe full 40 pounds for stone. Now help, Thomas, for him that harried hell, else must we turn about and our books sell. And if you laymen lack our high instruction, then will the world go to its destruction. For whoso shall deny us right to live, so may God save me, Thomas, by your leave, you'll have deprived the whole world of the sun. For who can teach and work as we have done? And that's not been for little time, said he. Elias and Elisha used to be friars. You'll find the scriptures do record, and beggars too, thanks be to the good Lord. Now Thomas, help for holy charity, and down he went then, kneeling on one knee. This sick man, he went well nigh mad for ire. He would have had that friar set afire, for the hypocrisy that he had shown. Such things as I possess and are my own, said he, those may I give you and no other. You tell me that I am as your own brother. Yea, truly, said the friar, trust me well. I gave your wife a letter with our seal. That's well, said he, and something will I give unto your holy convent while I live. And right anon you'll have it in your hand. On this condition only, understand, that you divide it so, my own dear brother, that every friar shall have as much as other. This shall you swear upon the faith you own, and without fraud or cavil be it known. I swear it, said this friar, on my faith, and on the sick man's laid his hand therewith. Lo, hear my oath, in me shall truth not lack. Now then, come put your hand right down my back, replied this man, and grope ye well behind, for underneath my buttocks shall you find a thing that I have hid in privity. Ah, thought the friar, this shall go with me, and down he thrust his hand right to the cleft, in hope that he should find there some good gift. And when the sick man felt the friar here, groping about his hole and all his rear, into his hand he let the friar a fart. There is no stallion drawing loaded cart that might have let a fart of such a sound. The friar leaped up as with wild lions bound. Ah, treacherous churl, he cried, by God's own bones, I'll see that he who scorns me thus atones. You'll suffer for this fart, I'll find a way. The servants who had heard all this affray came leaping in and chased the friar out. And forth he scowling went with angry shout, and found his fellow where he'd left his store. He glared about as he were some wild boar. He ground and gnashed his teeth, so wroth was he. He quickly sought the manor there to see, the lord thereof, whose honor was the best, and always to the friar he confessed. This worthy man was lord of that village. The friar came as he were in a rage. Where sat the lord at dinner at his board, and hardly could the friar speak a word, till at the last he said, God be with ye. This lord looked up and said then, Bensite. What, Friar John, what kind of world is this? I see right well that something is amiss. You look as if the wood were full of thieves. Sit down, and tell me what it is that grieves, and it shall be amended if I may. I have, said he, insulted been today. May God reward you down in your village, and in this world is not so poor a page as would not feel the insult if 'twere thrown at him that I have suffered in your town. Yet nothing grieves me in this matter more than that this peasant with his long locks hoar has thus blasphemed our holy convent too. Now, master, said his lordship, I pray you. No, master, sir, said he, but servitor. Though true I had in school such honor, sir, but Rabbi, God's not pleased that men so call us in the public square or your wide hall. No matter, said he, tell me all your grief. Sir, said this friar, in odious mischief, was this day done to my order and me, and so, per consequence, to each degree of holy church may God it soon amend. Sir, said the Lord, the story I attend. As my confessor, pray your wrath control. Salt of the earth are you, the savor whole. For love of God, I beg you patience hold. Tell me your grievance. And anon he told. As you have heard before, you know well what the lady of the house right silent sat, till she had heard all that the friar said. Eh, by God's mother, cried she, blessed maid, is there aught else a point that we did miss? Madam, asked he, what do you think of this? What do I think? She asked. So God me speed, I say a churl has done churlish deed. What should I say? May God desert him, see. Why sick his head is full of vanity. The man no doubt is more or less insane. Madam, said he, I will not lie or feign. If otherwise I cannot vengeance wreak, I will defame him whosoever speak, wheresoever I speak. This false blasphemer who has dared charge me, thus to divide that won't divided be, to every man alike and with mischance. The Lord sat still as he were in a trance, and in his mind he rolled it up and down. How had this shrill imagination grown, to pose so fine a problem to the friar? I never heard the like, or I'm a liar. I think the devil stuck it in his mind, and in arithmetic did no man find. Before this day such puzzling question shone, who could be able now to make it known? How every man should have an equal part of both the sound and savor of a fart. O scrupulous proud churl, beshrew his face. Lo, sirs, this lord said then, with hard grimace, who ever heard of such a thing ere now, to every man alike, but tell me how? Why, it's possible it cannot be. Exacting churl, God give him never glee. The rumbling of a fart in every sound is but the errors of vibration round, and ever it wastes by little and little away. There is no man can judge, I by my fay, whether it were divided equally. Behold my churl, and yet how cursedly to my confessor has he made this crack. I hold him surely a demoniac. Now eat your meat, and let the churl go play. Let him go hang himself the devil's way. Now the Lord Squire stood ready near the board to carve his meat, and he heard word for word all the things that I to you have said. My lord, said he, be not ill-pleased indeed, for I could tell for cloth to make a gown, to use her friar, so you do not frown, how this said fart evenly dull could be among your fellows, if the thing pleased me. Tell, said the Lord, and ye shall have anon cloth for a gown by God and by St. John. My lord, said he, when next the weather's fair, and there's no wind to stir the quiet air, let someone bring a cartwheel to this hall, but see there are no missing spokes at all. 12 spokes a cartwheel has, sir, commonly, and bring me then 12 friars, and know you why? Because a convent's 13, as I guess. The present confessor for his worthiness, he shall complete the tale of this convent. Then shall they all kneel down by one assent, and at each spoke's end, in this manner, sire, let the nose be laid firmly of a friar. Your noble sir confessor, whom God save, shall hold his nose upright beneath the nave. Then shall this churl, with belly stiff and taut as any tabor, let him here be brought, and set him on the wheel of this same cart, upon the hub, and make him let a fart. And you shall see, on peril of my life, with proof so clear that there shall be no strife, that equally the sound of it will wend, and the stink too to each spoke's utter end, save that this worthy man, your confessor, because he is a man of great honor, shall have his first fruits, as reasonable it is. The noble custom of all friars is this: the worthy men of them shall be first served, and certainly this has he well deserved. He has today taught us so much of good, while preaching in the pulpit where he stood, that for my part I gladly should agree. He might well have the first smell of farts 3, and so would all his convent generously. He hears himself so well and holily. The lord, the lady, and each man save the friar agreed that Jenkins spoke as classifier, as well as Euclid or as Ptolemy. Touching the trill, they said that subtlety. The great wit taught him how to make his crack. He was no fool, nor a demoniac. And Jenkin by this means has won a gown. My tale is done. We're almost into town. Here ends the summoner's tale.